Every biker knows the big laws. Wear a helmet, don't speed, signal your turns. But here's what most riders don't know. There are dozens of motorcycle laws hiding in plain sight that can get you pulled over, fined, or worse. I'm talking about laws so obscure that even cops don't always know them. Rules that change from state to state, sometimes from city to city. Laws that can turn a perfect ride into an expensive nightmare if you don't know they exist. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on 10 secret motorcycle laws that most riders have never heard of. These aren't suggestions or guidelines. These are actual laws that are on the books right now. And if you break them, ignorance won't save you from a ticket. Number 1. Some states are helmet optional, but there's a catch. Here's one that catches a lot of riders off guard. You probably think you know which states require helmets and which don't, but the reality is way more complicated. Take Florida. Everyone knows Florida doesn't require helmets, right? Wrong. Florida requires helmets unless you're over 21, and you carry at least $10,000 in medical insurance. Miss either requirement, and you're breaking the law. Michigan has a similar rule. No helmet required if you're over 21, have insurance, and have passed a safety course or had your license for at least 2 years. But if you get pulled over and can't prove you meet all these requirements, that's a ticket. Pennsylvania lets you ride without a helmet if you're over 21 and have 2 years of experience or completed a safety course. But you better have proof with you. The problem is most riders hear no helmet law and think they're free to ride without one. They don't know about the insurance requirements, age limits, or experience rules. Here's what makes it worse. These requirements aren't always clearly posted. You might think you're legal in one state, cross a state line, and suddenly be breaking the law. The smart move: know the exact requirements for every state you ride through, carry the right paperwork, and honestly, just wear a helmet. Number 2. Motorcycle red light laws. Some states play fast and loose. Here's a law that'll blow your mind. In some states, it's actually legal for motorcycles to run red lights. But before you start blowing through every intersection, let me explain how this works. The problem is simple. Traffic lights use sensors designed for cars. Your 500-pound motorcycle might not be heavy enough to trigger the sensor. So what happens? You sit at a red light that will never change because the system doesn't know you're there. That's where dead red laws come in. States like Illinois, Missouri, Minnesota, and several others have laws that let motorcycles proceed through a red light under specific conditions. Here's how it works. You have to wait a reasonable amount of time, usually around 120 seconds. The light has to clearly be malfunctioning, and you have to proceed safely when there's no conflicting traffic. But the rules are different in every state. Some require you to wait longer. Some have different safety requirements. And some states don't have these laws at all. In Arkansas, you can go through after waiting 2 minutes. In Tennessee, it's 120 seconds. In Idaho, you just have to wait a reasonable time. And you have to be sure the light is actually malfunctioning, not just on a long cycle. If you run a light that would have changed in another 30 seconds, you're still breaking the law. Number 3, eye protection is required when riding, even if you have a windshield. Here's a law that surprises a lot of riders with big touring bikes. Just because you have a windshield doesn't mean you're exempt from eye protection requirements. In states like New York, Georgia, and Minnesota, you're legally required to wear some form of eye protection when riding. And no, Squinting doesn't count. But the law sometimes applies even if your bike has a full fairing and tall windshield. The reasoning is that windshields can break or fail, and you need backup protection. Some states get even more specific. Your eye protection has to be shatter-resistant, which rules out regular sunglasses. And in some places, it can't be tinted if you're riding at night. The type of eye protection matters too. Safety glasses, goggles, or a helmet visor all count. Regular sunglasses might not meet the requirements. The easy solution: always wear proper eye protection, regardless of your windshield. Safety glasses, goggles, or a helmet with a visor will keep you legal in every state. Number 4. Riding. Side by side is illegal. Here's one that'll surprise group riders. In several states, it's actually illegal for 2 motorcycles to ride side by side in the same lane. States like Montana and Arkansas have specific laws against side-by-side riding, and the penalties can be steep. The reasoning is safety. When motorcycles ride side by side, each rider loses about half their escape routes. If something goes wrong, neither rider can swerve toward the other. The proper way to ride in a group is staggered formation. The lead rider takes the left side of the lane. The second rider hangs back and takes the right side. The third rider moves up to the left behind the leader, and so on. Some states allow side-by-side riding at low speeds, like in parades, but not on regular roads. Others ban it completely. The smart approach? Stick to staggered formation. It's safer anyway, and it keeps you legal in every state. Number 5. Motorcycles can park on the sidewalk. This one sounds too good to be true, but in some cities it's actually legal for motorcycles to park on sidewalks as long as they don't block pedestrian traffic. San Francisco is probably the most famous example. In certain areas, motorcycles can legally pull up onto the sidewalk and park, as long as they leave enough room for people to walk by. But these laws are extremely local. What's legal in one part of San Francisco might be illegal 2 blocks away. The rules are usually very specific. You can't block pedestrian access. You can't park in front of businesses. You can't leave your bike there overnight. The problem is the signage isn't always clear. You might think you're in a legal parking spot, but you could be setting yourself up for a ticket or towing. Enforcement varies wildly. Some cities actively encourage motorcycle sidewalk parking. Others will ticket you immediately. The smart approach: research the local laws before you park on any sidewalk. Look for signs that specifically allow motorcycle parking. When in doubt, find a regular parking spot. Number 6. Lane. Splitting is legal under specific conditions. Lane splitting is one of the most misunderstood motorcycle laws. Most riders think it's either completely legal or completely illegal, but the reality is more complicated. California is the only state where lane splitting is fully legal. Riders can legally ride between cars in slow or stop traffic. But several other states have started experimenting with limited versions. Utah has lane filtering, which allows motorcycles to move between stopped cars at red lights, but only under 15 miles per hour and only when traffic is completely stopped. Arizona recently passed a similar law. Montana allows lane splitting under certain conditions. The problem is, most riders don't understand the specific rules. They hear lane splitting is legal and think they can weave through traffic at any speed. In Utah, you can only filter when traffic is stopped at a light. You can't do it on the highway. You can't go faster than 15 miles per hour. The smart approach: Learn the exact laws in every state you ride through. Don't assume that because lane splitting is legal in one place, it's legal everywhere. Number 7. Exhaust noise. Limits. Your exhaust might be too loud. Here's a law that catches a lot of Harley riders and anyone with aftermarket pipes. Exhaust noise limits. Most states have specific decibel limits for motorcycle exhaust. The federal limit is 80 decibels for motorcycles manufactured after 1986, but states can set their own limits. Some allow up to 95 decibels, others are stricter. Problem is, most riders have no idea how loud their bikes actually are. That aftermarket exhaust might sound great, but it could be way over the legal limit. California is probably the strictest. They have specific noise limits and actually test motorcycles during inspections, but enforcement varies wildly. Some cops have sound meters and will actually test your exhaust. Others just go by ear, and some don't enforce noise laws at all. Straight pipes are almost always illegal. Aftermarket exhausts without baffles usually exceed noise limits. Some states have different noise limits for different times of day. Your exhaust might be legal during the day, but illegal at night. The smart approach: know the noise limits in your area. If you have aftermarket pipes, stick with exhaust designed to meet legal limits. Number 8. You can ride on the shoulder. This sounds crazy, but in certain situations, it's actually legal for motorcycles to use the shoulder of the highway. Minnesota has a program in the Twin Cities area that allows motorcycles to ride on the shoulder during heavy traffic, but it's only on designated highways, only during congestion, and only under specific conditions. The idea makes sense from a safety standpoint. In stop-and-go traffic, motorcycles are vulnerable to rear-end collisions. Letting them use the shoulder when traffic's crawling can make things safer. But the rules are very specific. You can only use the shoulder when traffic is moving slowly, usually under 35 miles per hour. You can't exceed certain speed limits on the shoulder. Other states are experimenting with similar programs. Some allow shoulder use during construction zones. The smart approach: only use the shoulder where you know it's specifically legal and only under the exact conditions allowed. Number 9. Handlebar height limits. Here's a law that catches custom bike builders: handlebar height limits. Many states have specific rules about how high your handlebars can be. The typical rule is that handlebars can't be higher than the rider's shoulders when seated. Some states say they can't be more than 15 inches above the seat. The reasoning is safety and control. If your handlebars are too high, you might not be able to control the bike properly in emergencies. But enforcement's all over the place. Some cops know these laws and will measure your handlebars. Others have never heard of handlebar height limits. Custom bike builders run into this all the time. They build a bike with tall handlebars that looks great, but then the owner gets pulled over in a state with strict handlebar laws. The smart approach: know the handlebar laws in your state and any states you plan to ride through. If you're modifying your handlebars, check the local regulations first. Number 10. Some states require at least one rear view mirror. Others require 2. Here's a law that seems simple but gets complicated: mirror requirements. You'd think every state would have the same rules, but you'd be wrong. Most states require at least one rear view mirror, but the specifics vary wildly. Some states require 2 mirrors. Others are okay with just one, but it has to be on the left side. California requires 2 mirrors on motorcycles manufactured after a certain date. but allows one mirror on older bikes. Texas requires at least one mirror. Florida has different rules, depending on engine size. The problem is, a lot of custom builders and riders who modify their bikes don't know these rules. They remove mirrors for a cleaner look, not realizing they might be breaking the law. When the mirrors have to actually work, they can't be decorative or positioned where they don't provide a clear view. Sport bike riders run into this a lot. They crash and break a mirror, then ride around with just one, not knowing they might be illegal in some states. The smart approach: know the mirror laws in your area and carry spare mirrors if you're touring. If you break a mirror, get it fixed as soon as possible. There you have it. 10 secret motorcycle laws that most riders have never heard of but need to know. These aren't obscure regulations that never get enforced. These are real laws that real cops use to write real tickets. The lesson is simple. Don't assume you know all the motorcycle laws just because you've been riding for years. The rules are constantly changing. They vary from place to place, and some are so obscure that even experienced riders get caught off guard. What surprised you most from this list? Have you ever gotten a ticket for one of these obscure laws? Drop a comment below and share your experience. If this video helped you learn something new about motorcycle laws, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world riding advice. Because knowing the rules isn't just about avoiding tickets. It's about being a smarter, more informed rider. Stay legal out there, and remember, the best ride is the one that doesn't end with a conversation with a police officer.